Hi everyone, welcome to episode 71 of the Arieknits podcast. My name is Ariel and this is a video podcast where I talk about all the things that I have been knitting and spinning on for the past week. This week was a bit of a crazy week for me and I'll explain a little bit at the end of the video, but I actually have quite a few finished objects and also a couple of new cast-ons this week, and I'm just feeling relieved this week, and I got some extra time this week to just knit a whole bunch, which is really awesome for me. But I didn't get too much spinning done this week, so not really any progress on the spinning, but a whole bunch of knitting this week. So let's get started. Today it is Saturday, April 27th, and we'll start with what I am wearing today. This is not a new finished object or anything. I've knit this before. This is the Chantilly vest by Penrose. I knit this in Sewrella yarn in two different bases, the classic sock base and the Suri lace base, but both of them in the same colorway, which is called Edith, which is this really pretty pink color. I knit size 2. I used US 2 needles, US 7 and US 9. I'm also going to try my best from now on to also include, when I say like US number needles, I also want to put what the size is in millimeters, because honestly that probably makes a bit more sense because it actually tells you what size it is. So I guess, so it'll all be, I'm trying to update my notes as well to have the millimeter size of the needles in the description as well. But I'll try to also say it, and I'm hoping that I can switch my brain into using that as well, just so that I can, just know that measurement as well. US 2 is a 2.75 millimeter, US 7 is 4.5 millimeter, and US 9 is 5.5 millimeter needles. And if you haven't seen this pattern before, the reason why there were 3 quite different size needles used for this vest is because there are some sections of it where you knit. So the body of this is knit with 2 strands of fingering weight held together with 1 strand of the lace, the fluffy Suri, and so that's 3 strands held together. There's another section which I believe is just like this collar part here, where it is just the 1 strand of fingering, 1 strand of Suri lace, and then this little ruffly collar part where it's just the 1 strand of the lace weight yarn. So that's why there's a very differing size of needle size there. I will stand up really quickly to just show you what that looks like. You can see the fold line here because this was kind of folded in a drawer, but I really like this. I really like wearing vests. Well, I like wearing them. I just don't have that many opportunities to wear them because I either want to wear, it's cold enough to wear a sweater, or it's warm enough to wear a t-shirt, I guess, if that makes sense. But I am trying to wear more vests. I think right now in my knitted wardrobe, I might have 3 vests. I think that's right. So I want to add more vests. I'm just right now trying to look for the perfect, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just for another vest that I want to knit and I think is really cute. I think there are some vests out there where, I could make them, but I'm just waiting for something that really pulls my attention, I guess. It doesn't have to be, it can just be a plain v-neck vest. I don't know, sometimes the ones I've seen kind of so far, the fit looks a little strange, but anyway, that can be a long other section about me trying to find a vest pattern that I like. But I like this one. It's just, I would also like a plain vest. But as far as vest goes, this one's very cute. And I really like it, so that's why I wore it today. I am also wearing obviously not just a vest, I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt under this. I'm still trying to figure out how to style vests, so you know, if you have any tips, that'd be great. But yeah, I think I like the long sleeve look under vest. So yeah, so that's a Chantilly vest. My final measurement was, I forget when I knit this, probably last year or maybe the year before that. Final measurement is 33.5 inches in circumference, so that's 3.5 inches about in positive ease, but I am wearing a shirt again under this, so the positive ease might be a little less. But yeah, it's pretty fitted. It's not anything like oversized, but I think for this kind of design that kind of works well for that. So yeah, that is the Chantilly vest. That's what I'm wearing today. All right, let's start with the finished objects for this week, because there's three. I have three finished objects, and I'm very happy about all of them. Let's start with this one. It's because it's on the top of the pile, and so I'd have to move it to get to my other projects anyway. I finished my Asopo cardigan by Sari Nordlund. The only thing is, so I would have worn this for today's video. That was the plan, but it is still wet. It's not super wet, so that's why I'm able to I will be able to hold it up and show it to you all. But it's still a little damp on the sleeves, and some parts of just little sections on it are still wet, and so I'm going to wear it in next week's video. But it is done. It is blocked. Just needs to dry. The yarn I use for this is the Rerum Natura Gilliatt, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I knit size 2. I knit the cropped version of this cardigan. I use US 7 or 4.5 millimeter needles to knit this, and it is just okay. So because it's still drying, I haven't actually tried it on yet after blocking, but I think the way that it looks, it looks like it's going to fit really, really well. I did put it on when I finished knitting it, but because it wasn't blocked, things were still a little scrunched up in some areas, and so I can tell already that the blocking really helped with keeping things laying flat and just kind of opening up some areas. And I don't think really, it didn't grow that much with blocking, but it just kind of let certain areas kind of breathe and lay flat, if that makes sense. Particularly the connection of the armhole and the sleeve. Before blocking, it was very kind of this connection wasn't laying flat, and so it really kind of looked bunched up wearing it. And so I think from what I'm seeing right now, it looks like it's going to lay flat, which is really nice. The cables are looking fantastic. Let me show you the back. I mean, it's pretty plain, I guess. It's just stockinette, but you can see that beautiful line detail where it was picked up to start working the front. And for the collar on this, I am blocking it folded. Maybe I should, as you can see here, so this collar is this full width, but I am blocking it folded over just so that hopefully since that's how I'm going to wear it, I just want to block it that way too. So that part is still also a little wet because it is folded while it's drying, but I think it's going to look really great. Okay, I don't really want to mess this up too bad. My left sleeve is the most wet, which is kind of weird, but why just the left side and not the right side? Don't know. Maybe that part of the room that I'm laying it in is colder, less dry. But look at it. Oh my gosh, I can't wait for this to dry so I can wear it. But yeah, next week's video, that's the plan, is to wear this, and so I can actually show it all to you on. I think it's going to be really good. I was able to knit. I really wanted to use up as much yarn as possible to get the most length out of this. I know I purposefully knit the cropped version, but I did want to make it longer if my yarn amounts allowed me to do that, and it did slightly. I think I might have gotten, I need to measure again, like after the whole blocking situation, but I might have gotten away with maybe like an inch or a half inch more in the length. It is still cropped. Actually, I wonder if I can like hold it up and then you can see. You know, it's not, I guess it's kind of hard to see. Let me, if I go back here. Again, it might lay differently once I have it on. But like, oh my gosh, you can see that my pants are, I was not planning on showing you all the pants that I'm wearing with this because it doesn't match my outfit. But I'm at home, so I'm wearing sweatpants. But anyway, it is a little more on the cropped side, but I think that it actually is going to hit right at like slightly under the waist potentially, maybe hitting right at the top of my hips potentially. Again, it's kind of hard to tell because it's not actually on me, but yeah, it might hit right above the hips, which I think is going to be a good length. I don't know if I have a cardigan that is kind of cropped, but oversized. It is going to be maybe, again, I need to take final measurements once this thing is done drying, but the size that I knit should, if I met gauge, should give me, I think, like 8 inches of positive ease, and so it will be on the wider side of a cardigan, but I think that'll be really cute. So I just can't wait for it to dry so I can try it on. But I am really happy that I am done with that. I'm trying to think what else. Like, I don't think I did any modifications besides lengthening as much as I could without running out of yarn, which I was successful at. Did not run out of yarn. I was worried because the bind off is a tubular bind off, and so I really had to like make sure I would have enough yarn to do that entire bind off, because that would have sucked if I was nearing the end and then ran out of yarn for that. So yeah, it went well. I just have a little bit of yarn left, but I'd rather have a little bit of yarn left than run out of yarn. So yeah, that worked out well. Finished that this week. Yeah, okay, that was finished object number 1. I'll probably have more to say about it in next week's video when I wear it, but yeah. Actually, I think I finished it yesterday. And so I finished it in, I actually took off work yesterday, so I had the entire day to knit. And so I finished that, I think like before lunchtime, and then I washed it and blocked it, or laid it out to dry in the middle of yesterday, and so I was hoping that it would be dry by today, like, you know, a little over 24 hours to dry, but it is not. I love this yarn. I think I've said that maybe a bajillion times, but it blocks really nicely, and I think it kind of, I don't want to say softens, but I think it's part of like the blooming of the yarn and like everything laying flat. It just feels really, really nice after blocking. So I'm just very, if you see my hand, it's because I'm touching I'm touching it, I'm touching the yarn. Just cannot wait to actually try it on and see what it looks like and what it feels like. I think it's going to be really great. So yay. And that also means for my goals for this year, I have now 1 finished object from Sari Nordlund's book, which is fantastic. I'm making some progress there. So all in all, very good. Okay, my second finished object is, I can't believe I finished this so quickly. I think that this was less than a month, maybe like 3 weeks, maybe it was 4 weeks. Oh my gosh. The Vertices Unite shawl by Stephen West. It is so big that I can't even show the entire thing in the camera. Actually, almost. Wow. Okay. While I talk about it, I'm going to try and wear it, potentially. I'll like put it on. Okay. Vertices Unite by Stephen West. This is actually, I don't know if I mentioned this, but this is the first time I am knitting a Stephen West pattern. I used all Explorer-Knits Cashmere Caverns sock base for this shawl, and the colorways I use is Altostratus, Rose Quartz, Linen, Chinle, and Daybreak. I knit the size large, and I used US 4 needles, which is 3.5 millimeter needles, for this, and I believe that is a recommended needle size. Yeah, I can't believe that I finished this. I am really incredibly happy with the yarn color choices on this. I think it all works really well together. Again, I was really worried when I just had these two sections together. When I was starting, I think the section 1 and section 2, I was like, I mean, the yarn and the skeins look good together, but I was worried. I was like, do I like this? Will this look weird? But as a couple of people mentioned in the comments, like, once it's all put together, then it all kind of like looks a lot better, and I'm so happy that it did. Like, I love this color combination. I'm so happy with it. I followed the yarn color pattern as far as like obviously you can do whatever you want with the color choices, but I did follow, like, I mapped each of the colors to like color A, B, C, D, E. A, B, C, D, E, F. Wait. A, B, C, D, E, F. Oh, I guess so. Sorry, I don't... Actually... Anyway, I follow, like, whatever it said, use color A, use color B, and all of that. I followed that, and so that included for the border using the Chinle colorway for the border, which is what is used for, you know, any if you know, like, pattern-wise, when it says use color A here, and then use it here too, and use color B here and there, that's what I did. I followed that, and so for the border, I used the Chinle colorway, and oh, it looks so good. I definitely planned it so that the Chinle would be the border color for this shawl, because I thought, you know, it's a dark color, and so it'd be really nice kind of like outline for this entire shawl, and I really like it. I'm so happy with it. I had one skein of each color, and I did not run out of yarn for any of the colors. I think the color I used the most is kind of surprisingly, because I don't know if this was actually the color that the yarn estimate said, but I used the most of Rose Quartz. And I think maybe Daybreak, which is only used in this big section here. This is the only section where this color is used. That used a lot of yarn as well, not an entire skein, but a lot of a skein. But yeah, I use most of this pink color. This pink color is used in this last triangle section here, and is also used in the beginning. This section where it's striped with my blue color here. And so that almost used up, I think I might have had maybe like 20 something grams of yarn left. So that is the section that used the most, I think, of the color. This shawl is huge, but I think I might have actually, I think it's almost spot on with the measurements that it says in the pattern, which I think is a wingspan. So like from this long, from this section, top section to this corner, I guess, is like 100. Oh, I think mine's is a little less than 100 inches, but when you're measuring something this wide and also like stretchy, it's kind of hard to really get a good measurement, at least for me. Like, I have to lay it out on the floor, like, it's hard to get a measurement, also because I don't have a tape measure that goes that long, so I have to kind of like, you know, move it to measure it, add it, and all of that. But it's very close to the pattern measurements. Yeah, it's just so, I worked this up so quickly. It is all pretty much garter stitch, besides doing things like switching your yarn colors in some sections to make the stripes, and also like picking up and doing some short rows. Oh, that is one thing I wanted to mention, is all of the sections where they talked about, they weren't very explicit about doing short, like they didn't say do a short row, because the way that it is done is actually you just turn and so that there is a gap, and then when you go to knit over it, there is a certain way to knit to close the gap. But what I did instead was do German short rows, and yeah, I just prefer that because that's the way I always do my short rows. So that is one thing that I like kind of changed in the pattern, but it didn't really change the outcome. It was just the type of technique to get a similar result. Like, I don't know if it actually would have changed how that particular join looks. I mean, maybe it does, but I don't know, it looks fine to me. But yeah, I did want to note that because that is, again, something I changed. But other than that, I followed all of the patterns, all of the counts for the large size, and I gotta say, the I-cord edging for this was not too bad to do. I don't know why. It did feel long to do, but I did it within a day. And that's not like working an entire day on knitting on this, but it's just like during small sections work on it. But I did get it done in a day, and so it really, I don't know why. I really thought I was going to hate working on the I-cord edging, but it really kind of, it went by a lot faster than I thought it would, because it is around this entire thing. I think I can say this. I never know what to say. I don't want to say too much details about a paid pattern because it is a paid pattern. I don't want to give away like the pattern, but I think I can say this. The I-cord bind off or the edging is done where you pick up, you don't pick up and bind off. You actually pick up all the stitches first all the way around, and then you do the I-cord bind off. And I did want to say all of the edging stitches would not have fit on my longest circular needle. It was too much, and so I did actually have them on two separate needles. And so kind of basically like the bottom half I had on one set of needles, my circular needles, and then the top I had on another set of circular needles. And that actually worked out really well too, because right at where it changes from the bottom section to the top where the corners are, it would have kind of, it probably could have been okay, but I was like, it was really nice to just have your needle hanging out this way and then start picking up this way versus trying to get that around. But honestly, maybe it would have just been fine too to do that all the way around. But yeah, this is my Vertices Unite shawl. I love it. I know I say this, I think, about pretty much everything I make, but I want to make another one. I think, though, I love this size. It's very cozy, and because it's fingering weight yarn, it's not actually, like, it's huge, but it's not bulky. Like, it's very drapey. You can, like, wrap it around. Like, it's actually very light. It's a very light feeling shawl. So it's huge, but it's not heavy. But I think when I make another one, I will want to have the small size version as well. I think that would be cute to have as well, and maybe use some scrap yarn for that. So yeah, oh my gosh, it's done. This was like record time. I don't know how I finished this so quickly. I think I just couldn't put it down. Because of all of the different sections, it didn't feel like I was working on the same thing forever, even though it is all garter stitch. It's all the same stitch. But each section was just kind of like, oh, let me do, one more section. And oh, well, since I just finished that one, I'm going to do another section. So anyway, that's my Vertices Unite. I have to take finished object pictures of this at some point. But for now, I'll just enjoy it. I just fold it like this so you can see. I love that there is a section where there are 4 of the different sections with all of the colors represented in it. That's cute. I love that. It's so good. I'm so happy. I was very nervous about the color combination for this, but worked out well. Happy about it. Love the finished object. Can't wait to wear it more and make another one at some point in the future. Okay, last finished object is my Bear Paw Socks by Andrea Mowry. And no, this is not deja vu. I think 2 weeks ago I finished my own pair of bear paw socks, which I'm actually wearing right now on my feet. But I made a second pair for my boyfriend, and here they are. I just finished them this morning, so these are not blocked, but I feel like for socks, especially for like rib socks, like they don't really look that much different when you block them, and also, you know, you wear them on your feet and they get stretched out anyway, so, but I did do something different with these than the ones that I made for myself, which is I actually follow the pattern, kind of. So obviously, again, you can, my first pair was just with one color, and so you can just make it with one color. But the pattern does, the instructions are for using two different colors, with the intention of it kind of being that you're doubling a fingering weight yarn, so that there's like sections where you just have your main color, which is where you start with the toe, your contrast color, and then you have one strand of each of the colors done for the main part of the sock. You have your contrast color for the heel, which is a fleagle heel on this pattern, and then you kind of do that same contrast color, smaller stripe, and then a slightly bigger main color stripe at the top. And so I actually followed those instructions for this pair of socks. I also made, mine's were short socks last time because I was just trying to use up as much of the yarn as I had left over, which wouldn't get me a full length sock, ankle, leg part of the sock. But this time I actually made it, I think, like 1 inch longer than the pattern states, because I do have some leftover yarn with this, unfortunately. But I used up most of it, which is really nice. So, yarn. I used Pasley Knits Coastal Sock Base in the colorways Lemonade Stand, which is the yellow color, and Pool Club, which is the blue color. And so I think that they worked out really well together. They look really fun, and my boyfriend does not like wearing bright colors, but they're socks, and he's only going to wear these indoors, and so I think that it's okay. And I did knit size 9, which is a men's small size in the pattern. I used US 4 needles or 3.5 millimeter needles, which is the recommended needle size. And yeah, it's a pretty basic 2x2 ribbed sock. As I mentioned, it is a fleagle heel, so it does look like that. I really like how the increases on the gusset looks here. But other than that, it's pretty pretty standard, but I really like it. I mean, this is the second sock I'm making in it, and I'm pretty sure I will make another longer pair for myself as well. Probably not anytime soon, though, because I just made 2 of these in like the past 3 weeks. Yeah, it is toe up, so I know some people have strong preferences on toe up or cuff down socks. For me, I'm okay with doing either, but I think lately my preference has been toe up socks. I feel like toe up is so much easier to get if you're trying to use up or use a certain total amount of yarn. It is the easiest way to get to the halfway point for a sock, like to start your one sock and then have pretty much the same amount for your next sock. So yeah, I've been really liking toe-up socks lately, really like DK weight socks. I have been wearing mines kind of like non-stop lately, and so it's a good sign that I should make even more DK weight socks. So, but yeah, so these are going to my boyfriend. I hope he likes them, and that's my third finished object for this week. It seems like a lot, and I guess it kind of is, but I feel like my Asopo cardigan and my Vertices Unite were pretty much close to being done anyway, and so I just had to work on it a bit to finish it. Yeah, oh my gosh, how long have I been talking? And it's just been my finished objects. Let's move on now to my works in progress, my whips. I guess because I did spend a lot of time on my current finished objects, or my finished objects for this week, there's not too much in my whips pile to talk about, but I do have 2 new cast-ons that I'll talk about at the end. Let's start with my, as always, Sweet Shop Blanket by Laura Penrose. And as a reminder, I am working through the winter color sock sets from Pasley Knits Seasons boxes from last year. And this past week was sock set number 2 from the box, and so it is these 2 colorways here. Very pretty. Way more contrasting, the 2 colors, than the previous week, where it was, both of them were pretty much purple. This one is like, there's a dark navy blue and then a really light, like icy blue. Very pretty. I love it. Let's talk about the colorway real fast first before I forget. So the colorways is Winter Walks, which is this light blue and white, and then Frozen Lake, which is the tonal dark blue. I'm pretty sure that's the way that the ordering is on the tag. Yeah, so these are the 4 squares I worked on this week, and that means halfway done with the winter sock sets, which also means there's only 2 more sock sets left to go. Let me hold up this section of the blanket. So this is going to be the top right here, and just did these, and so you can see where my face is the rest of the blanket. I have 8 more squares to go, and then this whole blanket will be done. I can't believe it. It's been a really fun journey, and it's going to look so good. I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of this blanket actually too. I think it's a good size because it's not overly big. So it feels just the nature of like working on it, because it's big, it does lay on my lap, and it's been a very good lap blanket. I think it's big enough to be, it's kind of bigger than, what am I trying to say? It's a good lap blanket, but I think it'll also be good for like, just kind of like it's not just a lap blanket. So I think a little bigger. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's going to be a good blanket that I'll probably mostly use as a lap blanket, but could be used as just like having a slightly smaller blanket for whatever reason. I think, yeah, like right now, I'm sitting and I have it draped down. It is going to be a size of a square because it will be a 8x8 square, but I have it laying on me, and right now the bottom is at my ankles, and then this is the top part of the blanket. And I know that might not tell you how big that is because you don't know how tall I am. I'm actually quite short, so keep that in mind. I am very short, but at least on me, this blanket will reach up to about my my neck and go down to my ankles. So as far as coverage goes, that's actually quite good. But yeah, it's so squishy. It's so nice. Wow, 2 more weeks on this. I could just like finish it now too. I could just finish it this week, but I like the week by week cadence, so probably 2 weeks. But yeah, that is my Sweet Shop blanket. Oh, I am using US 6 needles, 4mm needles for this. I think that's a recommended needle size, and it's been going so well. So that is my kind of quick update on my Sweet Shop blanket. Okay, I just have a very minor update on my Verglas wrap, or my soup shawl, because I really didn't give this too much love this week, but just want to show you just because I did kind of work on it just a little bit. Stitch marker, new stitch marker from friend. Yeah, I just worked this much this week. That's just, sometimes some projects just don't get worked on too much during the week, but just because I just show you everything I work on anyway, I'll just show you that. My little update. I'm not quite yet at the middle, doing like this middle section for this section, but would be kind of nice to get that done sometime soon, because that'll be some big progress, I think. But yeah, I have 2 new cast-ons this week that I'm really excited about, and I think I've made big progress on these too. Actually, most of the progress on these were made yesterday. But okay, we're gonna put the Verglas wrap down before I continue talking about projects that you haven't seen yet. Okay, so let's talk about this one first. One of my goals this year was to knit with all of the Woolberry Rewind yarns I got from last year, and I'm kind of behind on my using one colorway a month goal for this year. But I was looking at the yarn I had, and I was like, what am I going to make? I don't know what I want to make. Nothing was making me feel really like excited to cast on, and so I just kept putting it off. But beginning of this week, I finally was like, I had an idea, and I was like, I'm gonna cast it on right away. And this uses 2 of the colorways from Woolberry's Rewind, and so that also feels really great. Just kind of get 2 of those colorways out with one project. Ta-da! Okay, this is the Melt Shawl by Andrea Mowry. When I saw this pattern come out, I thought it was very cute, but I remember thinking to myself, like, I don't know if I have any yarn in stash to make this, but turns out I did. So I'm gonna hold it up first for you to see it. Do you see how many ends this has? We'll talk about it a little bit after I talk about the yarn. The yarn I'm using for this, the main colorway is one of the Woolberry Rewind yarns. It is the Woolberry, so all of these, there's 3 different colors, all Woolberry Berry DK base. The main color is Sandcastle, which I have here. It is like a very pale pink, peachy neutral kind of color. And then, do I have... Okay, I did bring the balls of yarn for the contrast colors. The other Rewind colorway I'm using for this is this one. This is called Festive, which is like a really nice maroon red, plummy red kind of color. You can see that here. They're very contrasting from the main color, which is really good, I think, for a pattern like this. And then the other colorway, which is not a Rewind colorway, but I had one skein in my stash and I thought it matched really well, is Button Jar, which I think was a collective colorway from one of the months this year. And it's actually slightly, the way that I saw this combination was actually because I thought these 2 would look good together, because if you look closely at Button Jar here, the blue color, there are speckles on there that is like a dark red purple that matches this color. And so I was like, well, these 2 will work really well together. And then I just needed this shawl, at least so I'm knitting size 1, you need 3 skeins of a DK weight, like 100 gram DK weight skein. And I feel like that's kind of like a weird number of DK weight skeins to have in stash. That's why I was like, I don't think I have any, but I did, which is the Sandcastle colorway. I originally was going to use this yarn to make a vest, but then there was a vest pattern I was planning on making with this, and then I decided, no, I don't want to make that with this. So it was kind of just like waiting for inspiration, and I'm really glad that it has a home and that it should use most of the 3 skeins I have as well. Sometimes it kind of sucks when projects change and then I don't use all of the yarn that I have of that colorway and base because, you know, the project called for less or something like that. Then you have like an awkward like 1 or 2 skeins left over. But anyway, this one should work out well because it should use 3. Yeah, one thing I didn't realize about this pattern was actually, one, there's going to be quite a few ends to weave in for this, as you can see. But if you notice, and before I bought this pattern, sorry, I needed to pick up a ball of yarn. Before I bought this pattern, I was looking at the project pages from this to see other people's color combinations and see their notes, and someone was like, they felt really weird about cutting their yarn after just knitting 1 row, and I was like, what? And then it hit me. I was like, oh, makes sense if you actually look at where the stripes are or what they're doing. I guess maybe you could carry it up, but it's kind of, there's 6 rows of garter stitch in between the main color and then your small contrast color, and the contrast colors are just 1 stripe. It's just 1 row, and so each time you do it, you're cutting your yarn, which it does feel really weird because if you decide you don't like it and you want to rip it out, I mean, would you keep all of the one strands of each of the rows of yarn? So it does feel like once you do it, you kind of have to commit. I feel like though, even if you knit like up till here, like as you can see, so it is just going to be like increases for this shawl. That is the shape. It'll just be like does the shape of a shawl have a name where you just increase on one side and it just becomes really big triangle? But you know, if you stop here where you get to do the stripe, and then there's the brioche section just here, and then you decide you don't like it or something, I don't think you really waste that much yarn of your contrast color, so it probably would be okay. But yeah, it does feel kind of weird to have to cut your yarn after every row of the contrast colors, but I'm committed, and so we are just going for it. I am now started like a repeat of the sections, so I don't know what's the best way to hold this up, but there's like the 3 rows, or yeah, the stripes, 3 stripes, and then the brioche, 3 stripes, brioche, 3 stripes, and then lace. I didn't read too much ahead. I don't know how much more of this repeat gets done, but at the very end, I think that this lace pattern actually gets done multiple times, and that's done in your contrast color, so I think that'll be really cute. But yeah, so this is what I have for this week. Oops. I really like it. It's actually been really fun to work on as well. It is mostly garter stitch. So it's garter stitch with some stripes, brioche, and some lace. The lace is really easy to work. Overall, quite nice to work on. It is not something, I don't know if it's something that really feels like mindless to work on, because you are doing increases almost every other row, but not during certain sections. You do have to keep an eye on when to do the stripes, how many stripes to do, and yeah, so I wouldn't say mindless, but it is quite a nice project to work on. One thing is there is an I-cord edging on this that is worked as you are knitting on it, which is really nice. So yeah, I-cord edgings on each side, worked as you go, which is really nice. But yeah, do I have anything else? Not really. I just really like it. I'm really happy that the yarn colors have found a home for a project, and I'm excited to be knitting this up. It's always really nice when there's a pattern that comes out, and sometimes, like this year especially, I've been really working at like wanting to knit with my yarn and stash first. So when a new pattern comes out and I really like it, I'm telling myself, like, don't cast it on like right away unless it's going to be with yarn and stash. So I wouldn't say that this was right away after the pattern came out, but yeah, it all kind of worked out because I didn't have plans to knit this as soon as I am when I did see the pattern, because I didn't think I had yarn. So after saying that same message about 10 times, I think I am now done talking about this melt shawl. But yeah, I really like it. It's going to be good, I think. Very squishy. It's going to be very squishy. DK weight, garter stitch. Yes. Okay. Oh, did I mention I am making size 1. There's 2 sizes for the shawl, and the sample that she has in her like pictures is size 1, which is the smaller size. And I was like, it still looks pretty big. Like, how big is size 2? But I'm just going to do size 1. Also because I think I would need one more skein of the main color to knit size 2 anyway. So, okay, now we're done talking about the melt shawl. Next up, new cast on. I cast this on yesterday in the middle of the day. And again, I did not work. I took off work yesterday, and so I just spent pretty much the whole day knitting. So that would explain how I got so much progress on this done. I cast on the Weekender Crew, also by Andrea Mowry. I'm really going through like Andrea Mowry pattern phase, I feel like, recently. I've just been really liking and wanting to knit her patterns. But this one's really special because it is with my hand spun. This is the pattern I was planning on making with my sweater spin that I just finished a couple weeks ago. So as a reminder, my hand spun yarn is in John Arbin Textiles Yarnadelic fiber. That's the name of the fiber, in the colorway The Beautiful Ones. And now you can see it caked up. I think last time I showed it, it was in a skein, and then some not actually twisted up in a skein. But now you can see it in a ball. I know, I actually knit so much because this was my first skein, and I think that might have been, it was over 100 grams of yarn in the first skein. So I think maybe like 300 something yards final measurements of this. So yeah, yes, I cast it on yesterday, and it is a bottom up sweater. It's actually knit inside out because the body is reverse stockinette, so the purl side of the stitches are actually the right side of the pattern. So let me just like turn this inside out so you can actually see that. It's all a little bunched up on my needles here, but hopefully you get an idea. There is like a middle seam looking thing. There's just like slip stitches in the middle, but that is part of the design. I think that's going to be really cute. I didn't realize that there is a split hem for this pattern, but I love split hems, and this is also like a high-low hem, so the front hem is a little shorter than the back hem, and I think it's really cute. I really like it, and so it was a nice surprise to see that detail when I cast on. Yeah, it's a 1x1 rib hem, and then pretty much I'm just now working on the body. It's going to feel like it's gonna kind of take forever because, I don't know, bottom up sweaters usually kind of feel like they take long. At least the beginning part of the sweater feels like it takes forever because you have to knit the entire body of the sweater, but then once you split for front and back, work on the sleeves, it goes by a lot faster. So but yeah, this is the progress that I have on it so far. and the yarn is looking really pretty. I think my gauge is close. I don't think it's quite perfect for the pattern, but I think it's close enough. I think I have to knit a little more to see what really it's going to be like, but I think my stitch gauge is okay. It's my row gauge that might be a little too big, but I think that it'll be okay. I think it'll be fine. We'll work with it. But overall, I'm really enjoying working with this yarn. It is my hand spun. I think it's, one thing is, so this is my second ever sweater spin. And so my second time knitting an entire sweater with my hand spun yarn, and I can tell just from this first skein that I think it's going to be a lot more consistent of a gauge throughout the sweater than my first one. Probably because, more experience with spinning yarn, and so that it's a little more consistent than the first time. I still love that sweater. It's not, it's not like I don't like my first sweater spin. It's just, I love it and I wear it a lot. But yeah, this one I think just feels a lot more even around the stitches. And I think one thing though is I guess it kind of makes sense that this skein in itself feels more consistent, but once I start adding in the other skeins, we'll see how consistent it is between skeins. But yeah, so far it's working out really well. Oh, I just want to knit on this right now. It feels really good. It actually feels kind of dense, and I don't know if part of that, obviously it could be part of my spinning and just spin a more dense yarn, but this is also my first, it is not my first 3-ply. I did do a 3-ply before this one. I did a 3-ply fractal, but this is my first, I guess since it's my only second sweater spin ever, it'll always be my first 3-ply sweater spin. But yeah, I do think that I can tell it's a 3-ply. I don't know if it's because it feels, people say 3-plies feel more round in the yarn, and I'm pretty sure what I'm feeling is that roundness. And so I don't know if me feeling it's necessarily dense is just because the 3-ply feels round and a little bit more, not flat. But I'm liking it. I think the colors look really great. I think it's going to be really hard to show in camera the actual real color depth in this yarn. I did actually just post a picture of my my glamour shots of my sweater spin skeins on my Instagram, and so I really tried to get good lighting to take the pictures and a real close-up of the strands of the yarn, because you can really even within the different, just looking at the plies, I guess, all the different colors that are in it just makes it look really nice. So I'm just loving this yarn. I love that it's gone through the whole process of being spun into yarn and then being knit into a sweater. I think it's fantastic, and I'm excited to just keep working on this project. I don't know if I mentioned this, I am knitting size 1, which is the second size. I blanked a little bit. I am knitting with the recommended needle sizes. So for the ribbing, it is a US 4 needle size, or 3.5 millimeter, and for the body is a US 6 or a 4 millimeter needle, and that is what I am doing and using. So I think it's going to work out pretty good. And yeah, I've been ever since the Weekender Crew pattern came out, I was I want to spin yarn for it, and so now that it's finally here, it feels really nice. And this is the first time I am knitting a Weekender pattern. I know that I feel like I've heard about a lot of other people talking about the first versions of it, but I think that I never really liked, I don't know, is it called a boat neck? It's just like straight across, and I don't like that kind of pattern because I don't like things, well, okay, I'm saying I don't like things touching my neck over here while I'm wearing a shirt that's touching my neck, but there's something about a straight across that I don't really like. So now that when the crew neck version came out, which actually has some shaping for the neck, I thought that was really cute. Yeah, I think my only worry about this right now is if I'm going to have enough yarn to knit the whole thing. I tried to buy more fiber than I thought I would need for the sweater spin because wouldn't that be so sad? You can't just like buy another skein. You would have to like buy more fiber and spin it before. And then as far as it being consistent, like if you didn't do it all at, in the same kind of like section of knitting, of spinning, like it might be really off from your other skeins. So I tried to buy more fiber than I thought I would need, but I am now like realizing my estimates might have been based off of the smallest size, which is size 0 for this pattern, and I wasn't looking at final measurements and like intended ease for this pattern. And it's supposed to be quite oversized. I think it's 8 to 12 inches of positive ease is kind of like the recommended ease for this pattern. So that's why I'm going with size 1. And I think it should be okay if I have to omit the pockets on this. I think that that'll be fine. I don't need the pockets, but I think the pockets are very cute. I think I should be good though. As long as, yeah, I think I should be okay. It's funny though, because whenever I'm kind of stressed about making yardage for a pattern, it makes me want to knit on it a lot more to get it done faster so that I know quicker if if I'm going to run out of yarn. I just want to know sooner rather than later, I guess. And so I am now just like, I'm just knitting and talking to you all. Actually, I'll probably continue doing that while I give a little update on what has gone down this week for me. I guess maybe quickly before that, I don't really have a spinning update. I have been spinning on my Big Little Yarn Co. Satsumai Mopai Rambouillet wool, but I really didn't make that much progress, and so I was too lazy to pull off the bobbin off of my wheel to show it to you all. So it's just, that's a quick update for this week on the spinning, but I wanted to give you all an update. This past week, I don't know if I've really mentioned this too much in the podcast, definitely not in detail, but I have been studying for the past, I think now it's 8 months, for a certification exam for work. And it's been rough. It's been really hard. I have been, in the beginning, was on and off with the studying. I would sometimes go really hard and then feel burnt out and then not study for a week. And then early this year, January, February, I really was okay, I need to buckle down, get this done. I need to just take this exam, take this test, and just get it done because it was really stressing me out. And I was I'm losing precious knitting time needing to study for this exam. So anyway, I finally took it this week. It is a 48-hour exam. So it was rough. It was rough. I took it on Wednesday. I started on Wednesday at 6:45 a.m. And so here's the thing. I took it on Wednesday, but I won't get the results. I don't have the results yet. I am still, as much as I am relieved that the test taking is over, I still don't feel relaxed because I don't have the results yet, and even though I feel pretty good about it, I don't want to jinx it. So I'm just waiting. They said it could take up to 10 business days to get your results, and I hope it comes a lot sooner than that because I'm stressed waiting for the results. But yeah, I basically don't want to jinx it, and that's kind of why I didn't want to share too much about it on here, because there's like this pressure of like, if I tell everyone I'm taking an exam and then I fail, I feel like really sad because everyone's going to want to know how I did, and I'd rather fail by myself with very little people knowing I failed, I guess. I don't want to have to tell people I failed. So, but anyway, I'm feeling stressed but hopeful that I passed. Yeah, so I want to talk more about it. Again, I don't want to jinx it, so I don't want to talk too much details about what the exam was until after, hopefully, I get my results and that it says I passed. And I can't actually talk about the details at all about the exam, but I could just talk about the things I can talk about. Public information about the exam. But anyway, yeah, it is a 48-hour exam. Basically the actual test taking itself is the first 24 hours. It is on the computer. I can take it at home. It is proctored though, so someone is watching me the entire time. And yeah, so I started Wednesday morning. I was not sure if I was going to get all the points required to pass, but at like midnight Wednesday, or that night, is when around the time I think I got enough points to pass. Stayed up until 3 to just like double check my work, 3 a.m. To double check my work, and then went to sleep, woke up the next morning at like 6. So I really only had like 3 or 4 hours of sleep that night, and then the next 24 hours you have to write your report of what you did in the actual test taking part. This is a practical exam, so you have to write a report on all the steps you took to do what you did. And I actually took all day to write that as well. So it was a very long and stressful, very emotional roller coaster 2 days of the week. And so that is also why I took Friday off of work, because Wednesday, Thursday was just so stressful. Friday, I just needed to sleep and knit. So I did not knit at all on Wednesday and Thursday, which I know, crazy, 2 full days of not knitting. So I just needed to make that up, and that's kind of why I have a lot of finished objects this week and a couple new cast-ons, because I needed to, 1, it was kind of my reward for getting that done, and 2, yeah, I needed to make up those lost days of not knitting. So I'm hoping to hear back, I hope, before my next podcast, so that I have good news, hopefully, to share with you all. But yeah, so that was my week. It was very stressful, quite stressful, but I am glad it's over. Just waiting for the results is just torture, I think. So if any of you can't, I'm sure most of you can relate with just waiting for results of something. It's just not fun to have to wait for that. So anyway, that was my week. I know that wasn't that much. I was not sharing that much information, but again, I just feel I don't want to jinx it too much. But that was just overview on what happened this week, and maybe explains why I have so many new it's just 2 new cast-ons, right? So, but if I do pass, oh boy, am I going to cast on 5 more projects, because I'll feel a lot more relieved after that. So fingers crossed. Wish me luck. I know I can't do anything about it anymore besides wait, and so it's really just I just need to chillax. Stop refreshing my email every every 5 minutes to see if I get the results. So that's all I have for you all this week. I hope that was somewhat fun and interesting to hear about. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. Do I have more? I mean, I think I'm going to cast some more projects, probably. Regardless of how my test results come out, I will not be studying for it now after work, which is what I have been doing for the past, I think maybe the past 2 months, was just like study every weekday after work, which meant no knitting after work. So I won't be doing that this coming week. So I'll just be knitting. A whole bunch of knitting. Oh, and I didn't ice skate at all this week too because I was too stressed. Felt like I needed to ice skate in the mornings. It's funny, I feel like I skate in the mornings, knit at night. Like that's kind of the what I do, how I separate the hobbies. But I didn't skate at all this past week because test, needed to rest. I was stressed, didn't want to wake up that early. Needed to get more sleep. So this coming week will just be, will it feel weird not having to study after work? Probably won't feel weird. I'll just be very happy I get to knit after work. So, okay, that is all now. I really hate saying goodbye on the podcast. I always have a hard time ending the video, but that's all I have for you all today. I hope you all had a great week. I hope you all are going to have a great upcoming week. And as always, let me know in the comments down below, I guess anything you want to share, but also projects that you are working on while listening or watching to this podcast. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, and also follow me on Instagram. I have so much of a backlog of finished object pictures to post on my Instagram, and yeah, maybe this coming week will be the week that I kind of do some catch up on that, because they're all waiting. Like, the pictures are in, I took the pictures and they're in my phone. I just need to upload them. So we'll see how that goes. I'm excited for my Asopo cardigan to dry, and so that I can wear it this week and then talk about it and show it to you all in next week's video. And besides that, I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you in next week's video.